Welcome to the Comfy Talk, a radio show about gamers and their stories. This episode features THEBaratusII and OpenRift, two like-minded individuals who share their enthusiasm for DOSBox multiplayer. Together, they run the DOSBox Deathmatch Club Discord and host weekly gatherings for games using DOSBox. The resourceful community will also help show you just how deep the DOS gaming rabbit hole goes. The link to their Discord can be found in the description. Now it's time to get comfy and enjoy the show. Alright, so
cool.
we got OpenRift and THEBaratusII. Is it safe to assume you guys are you guys run the DOSBox Deathmatch Club?
Yep.
Safe to assume. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Rift,
right on.
especially.
I mean, yeah, I founded it. Yeah.
How did you guys come up with it?
Well, I was like I used to be in some other communities, and then like where we would mostly play on like source ports and stuff, and I was like I got really curious, and I wanted to try out I wanted to see like how in this case like multiplayer Doom would handle in like DOSBox. Like first I tried out Chocolate Doom, and then I moved to and then I tried out DOSBox, and I don't know, it sort of just went from there. I was like, at that point I was like, okay, I want to try and make a community where we play where we play these classic games like in like their original formats, like as much as possible. Of course, like there are certain games that don't really that like haven't really stood the test of time through DOSBox, like one of our games that we had support for early on was Rise of the Triad, but the networking just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's just like you'd get like one frame of gameplay and then it's just frozen, and
Yeah.
and that's it. That is all you're getting from Rise of the Triad. But like,
Somehow the other players seem to be unlagged, but then they wouldn't survive the freezing, though.
yeah.
So,
Well,
Hold on.
I think everybody was lagging, but anyway.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So let's get right into the questions. So how are you guys doing right now? It's probably THEBaratusII's first, sort of second podcast, and then I don't know about OpenRift.
Uh, well, I mean, this is the second podcast I've been a guest on, but I used to actually run a podcast back when I was back in like my senior year of high school. I used to run a movie podcast.
Yeah, it was titled The Grindcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how did you guys get into gaming?
Oh, that goes way back. Well, I mean, let's see. What was my first like exposure to? Honestly, I don't really remember what my first exposure to it. You know what? Actually, I think my first ever exposure to video games was like when I was hmm, like I was like 2 or 3, and I remember my mom would my mom would go to like Lifetime Fitness and drop me and my sister off at like the little kids area, and there was like this computer lab, and they had and they had a bunch of games. I remember there was like this caveman racing game. I don't know what it was called. I've never gotten around to looking it up or anything, but I don't know. I think
I always,
that was like my earliest gaming memory.
I always suspect it was BC Racer or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
What about you, THEBaratusII?
Um, my first exposure, I don't remember like the really first, but I know my first exposure to first-person shooters at least. Well, actually, my first exposure on computer gaming, though, I believe, was through my mother's office PC back in like 2005 or so, or something like that. She showed me Zone.com, aka MSN Gaming Zone, where I played a bunch of trials there and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
yeah. Now, as for my first exposure to first-person shooters, obviously is Doom. So I was playing Xbox Live Arcade games, and my mother showed me this game, which I didn't know the name of until I found out later on, which was titled Doom. So I found the name. I went straight to my computer, which was a Dell Dimension L 800R, which is like a Pentium 3 or so. Went to the Internet Explorer, download.com, and used the name, and that's where I got Doom 95 shareware. And man, that did change my life for sure.
Download.com. That doesn't sound
Yeah,
sketchy at all.
yeah, it's a CNET site.
Oh, it's a CNET site.
Yeah, it
Was it
was by
was it always
CNET.
a CNET site? Because I remember there was also like Softonic and stuff like that.
Oh crap, Softonic. I heard bad stuff about them.
Yeah, I
They're
think I think
okay.
I remember downloading a virus from them a long time ago, when I was trying to get like a crack for Photoshop or something.
They had
Uh,
cracks in Softonic?
Well,
I wouldn't download a
well,
crack if it's from there.
yeah, probably not real cracks though.
Probably viruses in disguise.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I know there's like a bunch of websites where they archive like a bunch of old downloads. So there's CNET. They provide some of the old ones for what do you call them? Yeah, defunct software, and also Softonic. That one's kind of new. If you think
yeah.
2008 is
Also,
new.
File
also
Planet's
had
still around.
oh yeah. I was gonna
Um,
add, not only I experienced MSN Gaming Zone, I also experienced Real Arcade, which is by the people at Real Network or something. What else?
I think
Game
like my
House is another one too. Reflexive Entertainment, or Interactive, or whatever it was.
yeah, I
That's
think
where I
like
got the knowledge of really obscure indie games that nobody knows about.
yeah, I
um,
think one of my first like I think my first like real game that that I got like super into was when I was about like 7, I think, and it was Lego Star Wars. Like the first like the first version. I had the original Lego Star Wars on PC, and then that Christmas I got like a Wii, and I got the complete saga on there, and I played that game like nonstop for for a good year, something like that, and then just like then I like moved on to after that was like Mario games and other Nintendo stuff. Then came like Minecraft. I remember around that time I would go over to my friend's house and we'd play Halo a lot. Then I got into like Team Fortress 2, and that's sort of when I went started to go down like the retro rabbit hole, because Team Fortress 2, you know, is part of a series that began as as a mod for Quake, and I was like, oh, what's Quake? And so then I learned about Quake, I learned about Doom, and then it's just sort of so it's slowly blossomed from there, for lack
Oh
of a
yeah.
better word.
Now, how I came to other FPSs, I was over there, going to id Software's website way back then too. Like, that's how I discovered Quake. I was over drooling over the screenshots, wanting to play it because I couldn't get the shareware running on my XP machine until I found WinQuake. That is. So my first Quake was probably Quake 2 though on the Xbox.
wait, Quake 2 on Xbox.
Yeah, it was like a bonus thing for Quake 4, like how it
Oh,
has like a second disc and stuff.
I didn't know that that bonus was. I didn't
Quake
know.
2, yeah.
I thought that bonus only came with the PC version.
Nope,
That's
it was the
that's
360
that's
HD
interesting. I didn't know that that was a thing. Link
Yeah.
to Xbox 360.
It was like
That's
Quake 2, well, but ported to the 360. People are
Oh
calling it
yeah,
first
I see
console
it.
HD remaster though.
because
Yeah, it.
the only Quakes I know that are on Xbox exclusively is Quake Arena, I think.
Quake
For
Arena Arcade.
yeah, that
There's
one.
also Quake 4, and then
Yeah,
with
and
Quake
that's
4
pretty much
comes
it.
Quake
But
2.
exclusive to Xbox though, I think
Oh,
that's.
well, not exclusive to Xbox. I thought you meant just like available on consoles.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's a good point.
Now,
Yeah,
speaking
this
of
is.
Quake 1 in console ports, I will point out that I first experienced Quake 64 as well. I was like, wait, Quake 1 has a console port? So I've honestly seen Quake 2 and 3 and 4 on
I forgot.
console.
Didn't Quake 64 come with like a N64 exclusive like deathmatch level or something?
There was
Or was it a
one actually.
or
There
was it a
was
single
one
player?
for deathmatch though, called DM7, I think.
Well, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that?
Aubrey Hodges contributed to the music though.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, people like to
Yeah.
bag on Aubrey Hodges' take on the Quake soundtrack, and I think it's pretty good, dude, because it's mostly
Same.
MIDI. It's yeah, it's timed for MIDI, right? And it doesn't
Yeah.
have the depth that Nine Inch Nails or what's his
Yeah.
name? Yeah,
Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah. Honestly, the only I'm only really familiar with Aubrey Hodges' work from like Doom 64 and PlayStation Doom. Mostly Doom 64 though, because I never really I don't know I never really played like Quake. I never played like Quake 2 on the PlayStation or Quake 1 on the N64. I just
Um,
never got around to it. But yeah,
I used to play Quake 2. Quake 2 was the first time I ever heard of Quake. But yeah, that's um, I didn't know there was a Quake 1 though at the time for
I
the
saw all the
N64.
Quakes on the site,
there's so you found this game called Quake 2 and you didn't think, and is this a sequel to
No,
something?
my friend's cart
I
it
mean,
was
I've
just
mostly
labeled as
seen the
Quake.
first
So
Quake, and then the bonus disc actually exposed me to Quake 2.
Mm.
yeah, Ed's old website still up, or do you have to find an archive of it? Cause I
You had
wanna
to
see what
find an
it is.
archive site of it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what about a multiplayer though? What have you guys like? What was the first time you guys played? You know, split screen, local, shared screen,
I think
LAN.
like one of my well, I think Halo was like one of the big like one of like the big first like multiplayer experiences that I had. Like I mean, I think up until that point I had, I'd played a little bit of like I'd played like Lego Star Wars co-op with like my friends or like maybe my sister at the time. And then, like a couple Nintendo games and stuff. But yeah, Halo was the big one that like really introduced me to like the multiplayer FPS. Namely, like I think it was Halo Reach that we played a lot. And yeah, yeah, that was like that was like the big one for like, my first exposure, which then like the first multiplayer game that I like owned that like I mean it was originally Minecraft, but like but like the first FPS it was TF2, which was a blast back in like 2014. And and yeah, I don't know, I've always followed multiplayer games like ever since.
Hmm.
What about you,
Yeah.
Baratuso?
Apparently, my first exposure to multiplayer, on the split screen side of things, most of it was local with my brother or sister, on various consoles. Now, the first time, PC wise locally, that is, was with my brother and I playing Quake 2. We didn't know much about IP addresses. We just found the host and stuff and went on with it. Server browser wise, I guess. Now, my first exposure to online multiplayer stems to back when I had an addiction to Doom or something. Or something like that. Even Quake.
Was it
Like,
on like a source port?
oh, for Doom, yes, but for Quake, maybe
Yeah.
ish.
Well, yeah, that was probably just Quake World because
I didn't touch
assuming
Quake World actually. I touched mostly NetQuake.
uh
Um,
pain.
no, I played on, well, for Quake it was GameSpy 3D, But my first Doom multiplayer experience stems from either Z Damon or Skull Tag
Probably, yeah.
at my
Yeah, that,
young
that that would
age.
yeah, that would seem about period accurate for that
Yeah.
time, because those were the two kings of multiplayer Doom in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
What
I've
about
mostly had more fun experiences with Quake 2 on GameSpy 3D because I used it at the time.
oh,
I
GameSpy
still I,
3D?
I still use it because it still works. You just have to set the master servers for each game, and you can
Yeah.
still find servers.
Yeah, it's still usable if you got the master servers working and everything.
Yeah, it's nice.
Unreal, on the other hand, was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, I don't think those work anymore. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Unreal does have internet server searching still. I don't know if it was
Oh yeah,
fixed
yeah, it has
recently
built
or.
it has a built-in server browser, yeah. Both
Yeah,
Unreal and UT99.
that's what I use for the Unreal one, is the built-in server browser.
Yeah.
Uh, for other games, I might look into using GameSpy 3D, actually.
There's a few games that might benefit from Game Ranger. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I've used Game Ranger a few times. I remember
Same.
I used to be in like the Star Wars X-Wing and TIE Fighter community, and and we would use that to like play a couple games. I don't know. I never really got into that community because like the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games are really fucking hard because they're basically like they're basically like flight sims.
And they were hard for the
The
time,
only
too.
games I have played on Game Ranger was probably Age of Empires and Rise of Rome. Not sure about the second one though. But I
Let's
usually
see.
stuck at RTSs anyway.
Neither of you guys got a chance to play on Heat.net. There was another service back then as well. Not SegaNet.
Yeah, I heard about Heat.net, but I was probably late to the party.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might have been shut
My-
down by that time.
This is the year of my birth. Like 2000 it was, yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, it would have been more different if I was like born in the 80s or something, or maybe 70s, where
'cause
I
I
could
thought those.
experience Heat.net and other services there, but
Yeah, I came into I came into online PC gaming in like the early 2010s. So that I was way past that era.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was,
okay.
for me it was
You
like
were so
mid 2000s kinda, and then started there on like early 2010s. So
Yeah.
I went without internet after like somewhere in 2008 I think, and I got my internet back by like Christmas 2011 with a Wi-Fi adapter. Nowadays I just use Ethernet.
yeah, so you guys got into like multiplayer around the time when source ports were becoming the norm, right? For most of the classic
Yeah,
games.
pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, by the time I started to get into like like the old school stuff, like source ports had pretty much become the primary way to play, and it was like the main expectation.
Now, as for my first experience with DOSBox multiplayer, that was during the Meltdown client days with Blood multiplayer most of the time, because I saw back in 2011, like late 2011, that I seen people were playing this game in multiplayer, and the bloodbaths were pretty cool to look at and watch. So I went to join in. I tried Yang at one point, but found no luck getting matches there, so I went to Meltdown instead. That's probably my first experiences with DOSBox related multiplayer. Before we had DOSBox Deathmatch Club, which is like formed in 2020 early.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was an idea that I had been thinking about for a while, and
Yeah.
and that
That
yeah
idea,
in early 2020 I first like opened it up, and I spread the news just about everywhere, because I like and I mm, yeah that's
So,
Yeah, that's.
when you first opened up the Discord, wasn't it mostly just DOSBox in general, or was it always a deathmatch club?
It was always Deathmatch
Oh,
Club because it was like I wanted to focus mostly on like
Yeah, primarily
mostly
matches.
yeah mostly like PvP games, primarily FPS, just like just like the most popular like 90s DOS FPS games,
Yeah,
Doom, Blood, Quake, Shadow Warrior, Duke Nukem, etc.
we started with that, and as we got more
Yeah,
members and
we
everything, and staff and everybody,
Yeah, we
there,
expanded our catalog of games and stuff.
and have an extra event which is held on Fridays.
Yeah, on Fridays or Freeform Fridays as they're called. We also do some like Windows games, like Win95, Win98 era stuff, and like a little bit of early 2000s, like
Yeah,
like like
it
like
used to
Return
be.
to Castle Wolfenstein.
I'll also point out it used to be mostly DOS games we didn't support, but then we expanded to Windows games up to
Yeah.
2002 with a few exceptions.
Yeah, but only on Fridays because
Only on Fridays, yeah.
I wanted to keep the namesake because I wanted to make sure that we keep I wanted to keep the the core idea of like playing the games in like their original formats.
and like,
However, there are some games we couldn't play due to the DOS box
Or yeah,
health
or
coding
just
and everything.
Yeah, or just due to the nature of the game's netcode,
That too.
Like Power Slave is a game that I really wanted to work, but it just the the network performance is terrible over
Yeah,
DOSBox. I mean, I'm sure it'd be fine if you did it over like LAN or something, but like over DOSBox IPXNet, ugh,
yeah,
it feels miserable.
my friend Andrew or RDR.exe, or RetroDiff, and mainly Mario, our staff member, we're testing this, and yeah, it was god awful lag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another
so
game we couldn't do is also Radix Beyond the Void, which only works best on null modem or modem emulation. But yeah.
And do you guys provide like like quote unquote technical support, like if somebody wants to get a DOS
Oh
game
yeah.
going in multiplayer? Because there's
Oh
one
yeah.
game I
Yeah,
have in mind.
that was something that I had been working on since the beginning. Because like what we do is we have like these little zip files that you can just like extract into your installation. You preferably like if preferably like a GOG installation because that's the most streamlined versions of these games like out of the box because Steam doesn't know how to do DOS games. Um, but yeah, I would make zip files for those that would like add like some batch menu, some like extra like functions to like the batch menu system in like the little launchers inside DOSBox, so you could like go to the command line and like launch custom bat files to play like like custom maps like in say like Duke 3D or Blood that's how you would go about doing that in DOSBox.
Yeah, we were aiming towards ease of use and everything, which is
Yeah,
the goal in these patches.
yeah, that and also we provided like early on I provided like some like tutorials on on just like getting started with with certain games like for Quake and Doom and all that stuff.
Yeah, I needed to work more on that support pages on my website to help get things started as well.
Yeah, you could probably copy paste some of the stuff I have in the setup channel. But
Good
anyway,
idea.
You think it would work for stuff like I think the game's called Moto Rotor. I don't know if you guys heard of that one.
modal rotor.
Moto Rotor. I'm gonna have to look it up. But it's basically arcade style motorcycle game for DOS?
Rotor.
Yeah, I think I found it. It's also made for
Oh shit!
TurboGrafx, right?
Hold on, wrong game. Yeah.
Wrong game. Oh.
Moto
Rotor
Racer.
2 has a nice cover.
Moto Racer.
Moto Racer?
Is it Moto Racer?
Racer.
Yeah, it's Moto Racer. Yeah,
DOS.
it's on GOG.
Oh, it's on Windows actually.
Oh, it's a Windows game. Oh, that's why I haven't gotten it.
Oh yeah, that looks like a Windows game. You can tell because of that texture filtering. Or wait, is that?
Cause
I can't tell. These images are really compressed.
if not, the game was Screamer. I was also trying to get to run.
Yeah.
Does
There's
Screamer
several
actually
games.
have multiplayer?
I don't know. But speaking of racing games, Carmageddon is a game that I've been wanting to test out and see how the multiplayer is. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, I've like recently got it like set up in a way that I like it in like DOSBox SVN.
I did point out that me and my friend Melee Mario were testing that out. Cars were teleporting, but then again, we were using the redump discs. So
Yeah,
who knows, the GOG release might be different.
I think it might be better. Hopefully it's better because that'd be a real shame if we can't like get stable multiplayer for Carmageddon. Because I really do like that game.
Or we can see if we can focus on getting the Windows version working, maybe.
Well, actually, from what I
Again,
heard, the Windows version actually performs worse.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does?
yeah. I mean, even I mean it uses IPX, like you have to use IPX wrapper and a VPN, and I don't know, just from
Yeah.
from what I heard, it doesn't perform very well.
Uh, yeah, if
Uh,
only IPX wrapper would support DP, like direct IP or something. Or
yeah,
at least, like, work with IPX IPX servers, the DOS
yeah,
box.
yeah,
Because there was another
perhaps.
game I wanted to get working in an easier way, like that game being Take No Prisoners and also Mage Slayer. But running TCP/IP is considered a royal pain in the ass to work with. I wonder if I can get. What if I can get Game Ranger to work on Take No Prisoners despite it not being in the list of games? Might
You
be a
know
little
what?
weird set up, but then
Well,
again,
I mean, I don't know if Game Ranger supports custom games.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it might be a bit hacky though, but it may work. But then again, that's something about testing it. Who knows?
All right.
Yeah. So, so like from all the experience you guys, gathered from, trying to get DOSBox running in multiplayer, what games have you guys like? What are your goal games after everything you guys have working right now?
Like just the games
Uh,
that we want to
yeah, you
like.
guys want to get running. Um,
Let's see. Well, Carmageddon, um, Take No Prisoners for Freeform Friday. Um, let's see. What's some other ones?
I was originally suggesting Necrodome, but I couldn't get that to work stably or something, or more properly.
Mm.
I
This
crashed
pro
when I
this
tried to enter TCP/IP though.
There's probably some other games that I can't that I that I'm not remembering right now or something.
Hmm. Oh, I do know a member, Ace Harding, was suggesting Scorched 3D as well. We also tried Star Trek Voyager Elite Force as well.
Yeah, for Freeform Friday, which is apparent, which I didn't know about until our friend Khan told us about it. Apparently, there's a Star Trek arena FPS made in the Quake 3 engine. We played it. What was that? Last night? Yeah, that was last night.
Yeah, it
We
was on
we
Wednesday.
we yeah we played it for the first time. It's strange but interesting, I guess.
what's the mod called again?
Well, it's not a mod, but
Oh,
it's called Star Trek Voyager Elite Force.
that's a
You can
mouthful.
download it for free at holomat.ch.
Is like, have you guys heard of Free Space? Is it anything like that?
Free. I
Oh,
don't.
Descent Free Space.
Is it anything like that, or am I just thinking the wrong?
I think you might be thinking of the wrong one.
Yeah. Okay.
Or something. Because I mean, it's not like a 6 degrees of freedom shooter. It's like Quake 3, but with Star Trek weapons.
Um, Descent Free Space is actually more of a flight sim than a 6 degrees of freedom shooter.
Oh, oh, is it? I never really.
Yeah, similar to stuff like Wing Commander or something. I
Okay,
think.
I didn't know that.
Oh wait, okay. So this Star Trek game, it's you play as like the pilots or the characters or something, not the ships, right? Because that's what I was thinking
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah. Right, right,
Oh
right. Yeah,
damn.
you actually play as the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what about for in DOS gaming in general? Are there any games you guys were like happy to get running in DOS box, like disregarding multiplayer?
Happy to
Um.
get. I think I remember back when I was first trying out stuff in DOSBox. I remember Quake was the first game that I always had issues with, mostly because like in like standard DOSBox, like the kind you download from like the official site, it'll like if you have your like cycle speed set to like auto, it'll run way too fast. So you either have to like, so either you deal with like playing at like 200% speed, or you're like, or like or you set it to like 100,000 cycles and you get like 30 FPS. And I really didn't like that compromise. So so I started looking into like the other like forks of DOSBox, and I found like some of the like the SVN builds or like DOSBox X, and then eventually I ended up using a DOSBox staging, which is like which I guess you could consider like our official like the official like fork for Deathmatch Club, because like
Yeah, it's our go-to DOS box.
yeah, because it's like a modernization of like of like DOSBox's technology, because DOSBox like standard DOSBox hasn't been updated in like several years. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that I was really happy to get working. Once I found like the right version of DOSBox to use.
For me, it's the same as Rift plus Descent. I couldn't get Descent working until I figured out how much cycles it needed.
Yeah, Descent is a game that like even with forks like DOSBox staging, like it'll still run too fast if you have your cycles set to auto.
Yeah, it's
But
a speed-sensitive game.
yeah, but luckily it's not too bad when you turn down the cycles. If you set it to like what like 50,000 or 100,000, like the FPS still feels smooth and playable.
I'm also glad that Chasm Rift is more playable on staging as well. At least
Is it more
for
playable on staging? I thought you still need like a patch for that.
I don't know about a patch, but I'm talking about like in 640 by 400 at least.
Oh,
And it looked like widescreen, to be honest,
well, yeah,
without the
because
aspect correction.
correction, yeah.
Didn't most DOS games run in 16 by 10? I think.
Well, okay, so that's a common misconception. Like the most common DOS resolution is 320 by 200. Like mathematically, that would equate to 16 by 10. But the thing about games back then and displays back then is, you know, CRTs could display non-square pixels, and that's what a lot of DOS games were like designed for, including like the most popular stuff.
I mean, it would have been more
And
understandable if CRT monitors were like widescreen, if widescreen CRT monitors ever existed to
They
consumers.
do.
well, I mean they did. Well, but not for many consumers, obviously.
Well, unless you're Carmack.
Yeah, unless you're
Mr.
John
Carmack.
Carmack developing fucking Quake on a giant fucking 1080p monitor in 1996. I I wish I could
Yeah,
see that thing in person. That thing looks insane.
I wish I could have that in person.
Yeah,
I guess that's too good to be true, to be honest, for me.
That thing probably weighs as much as a fucking car.
Probably. Or it'd probably break my desk if I try to set it there. Despite me having a big ass desk.
yeah, didn't the way most CRTs work, back then I think they don't scale per se, but they would just stretch the screen, right? Isn't that how they used to work?
Well,
back
yeah,
then?
because it's an analog signal. It's not like a fixed pixel display like you have these days with like an LCD or OLED panel. It's not like a fixed grid of pixels at all. Because it's just like because I don't know, I can't really go into like a lot of detail on how that works. I think you'd have to. There's this one YouTuber who's talked a lot about aspect ratio for games and stuff like that. I forgot what his name was though, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean the short way to put it is basically it just throws the image as is, like there's
it
no processing done to it, and
yeah,
it's
I
very
think I found it.
common in arcade monitors
Please.
where it just shoots
yeah,
the image. So like let's say Street Fighter 3
yeah,
Third Strike. If you
right.
display it on a digital screen, it's gonna like show a wide stretch game, right? But like if you put it on the actual arcade monitor, it
Yeah,
squishes it, so all the let's call them pixels look correct,
yeah,
right?
it's essentially non-square pixels is what it is in like the simplest terms. And
Yeah.
luckily, a lot of emulators like DOSBox and like plenty of consoles emulators have like a aspect correction setting so that it'll scale to the correct aspect ratio.
Yeah, and that's
Oh
that's the
yeah.
thing about emulation too. If you're
Oh,
gonna
by the
like,
Yeah,
way,
oh, go for it.
the video about the
and there's
misconception
a
thingy, that was by Displaced Gamers, right?
yeah, displaced gamers, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was saying, so that's the thing about like emulating old school games, especially arcade games, is that not all games conform to whatever the automatic aspect ratio thing. So you gotta
Yeah, you
manually
got to do a
set the
little bit of
thing.
research if you want like a accurate like experience.
MAME gives you the resolutions on the info
Yeah.
when you load the game, and it's up to
Yeah.
you. Like if you want to make a custom resolution on your monitor, but then you have to deal with manually setting overscan. Like if you have those a PC CRT, you can manually set overscan and everything, and you get all the nice it fills it up nicely, right? And then
Mm.
before I go on, yeah, that's basically the gist of that.
Yeah, the nice thing
Um,
about DOSBox is that like I mean pretty much all the resolutions are have to be scaled into a 4:3 ratio since that's what most monitors are that's most what most monitors at the time were. So,
so like a 320 by 200 game would get stretched vertically, right?
yeah, to get stretched vertically, so you'd have like tall rectangular pixels. It I think like one of the best examples of, people not really knowing about this is like you'll see, like Doom sprites around around the internet, just like, images of it and whatever. And and you'll see like the lone sprites and they look a bit wider than they do in game. And it's because of the non-square pixel sort of thing.
Yeah. So, what about any games that you guys personally discovered while like rummaging through websites for DOS games to play?
Hmm. Well, I mean, okay, well, I guess well, let's see. Does finding stuff on YouTube count as rummaging?
It's research if you're
All right.
looking for the
Well, I
info.
oh
mean,
yeah.
well, I didn't find it through research. I mostly just found it on chance. I remember. remember I first heard about the build yeah, fuck. The build engine game Nom from Retro Ahoy's video about the M16, I think it was. Or was it one of his gaming video, one of his other like game-centric videos? I don't remember. But yeah, I remember seeing that game and I was like, you know what? There aren't that many Vietnam games, and I kind of wanted to I wanted to give it a try. People had always been saying that it like wasn't a very good game, but I tried it for myself. It's actually pretty good. I don't know, like I don't really understand the hate for it. I mean, I guess because, people are going in expecting it to play like Duke Nukem 3D or Blood or Shadow Warrior, but it's probably one of like the first like attempts at like a realistic first person shooter, because like you die very quickly. Like I think it's pretty impressive for its time. I
I
mean,
first, I actually first experienced Nam, the game, through its multiplayer. Like me and my friends from Meltdown tried it out. I liked it. I think it was like I thought
yeah,
it
the
was more like
multiplayer
a
is great. I
Vietnam
love the
first.
multiplayer.
I thought it was more like a Vietnam Counter Strike in the build engine. That's what I thought of.
Yeah, yeah, like Counter-Strike Deathmatch, but in the build engine,
Yeah,
and you're not limited to two weapons and a knife.
yeah, that. So yeah,
Um,
for those that are interested, whoever's watching, Nam is like Counter Strike Vietnamese edition, Deathmatch edition.
what the heck?
It's
What's
just,
Yeah,
that? What's
I
that
don't know.
mod by
It's just fun.
what's his name? Sergeant something, the guy who made
Oh
Brutal
yeah,
Doom.
oh yeah, yeah. Sergeant Mark IV, yeah. Viet Doom,
yeah.
Is
yeah.
that the same?
Viet Doom is actually. Remember trying like the first alpha when it first came out. That was actually that actually is. I mean, it was heavily inspired by Nam, and it's actually really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's like really hard actually, but yeah, I enjoy it. It's very good.
Speaking of Brutal Doom,
Yeah. Okay, brutal. Yeah, okay, let's talk
go
about
for
brutal
it.
doom for a
You could
minute.
start.
All right. All right. So, I'm not really that big of a fan of brutal doom. It's not really I don't know, it's not really my cup of tea. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just it kind of breaks the progression of the game a little bit, and just like, yeah. I mean, I guess, you have like, maps that are designed for it and whatever, but it's just not really my thing. But I did find this cool little thing the other day on Doom World called Boiled Doom. It's essentially like this port of Brutal Doom to like vanilla, so it's just like the weapons and like a couple of sound effects and sprites from Brutal Doom. So, and it doesn't really like alter the gameplay all that much. It just like changes a little bit of the weapon behavior. That actually feels a lot more fun to play than Brutal Doom, because Doom's like original progression is still there. But just, with like much larger blood sprites and really fancy weapon sprites and sounds and stuff. But yeah, I like that mod though. That's yeah. Shout out to Boiled Doom. Still a work in progress, but I enjoy it. It's pretty cool.
also like the fact that it included the Eternal Doom's HUD or heads-up display in a modified fashion.
Yeah, yeah, it had Eternal Doom side. I still need to play through Eternal Doom.
I tried to, but I
I
guess I kept crashing on Tricle Doom. Next time I'm gonna play it on Crispy Doom next,
yeah,
like at least.
yeah. Yeah, I might boot it up in Doom 32, which is like an exe hack of Doom, which like increases the static limits for vanilla Doom, so you can play some of the limit removing wads out there.
Is
But
that
yeah, it's per
is that kind of like a Quake Spasm but for Doom?
uh well, no, because it's not really a source port. it's more of like it's an executable hack. Like somebody, like essentially somebody took like Doom or Doom 2 and opened it up in a hex editor and did some reverse engineering magic and found like the hex values to change to increase like the viz plane limit or like the draw segs limit. Like they went in there and they were able to change that. I actually made my own executable hack for Final Doom, so that I could play Plutonia 2 and Plutonia Revisited in like native or in Doom's native operating system, so that I don't know, just for shits and giggles, I mostly based it off of like the changes that like Doom 32 and Doom Plus have. Like a lot of like matching like bytes and like pattern recognition. So like I'm not very good at it, but like I figured it out mostly. But yeah.
Also, I was gonna say, man, I wish there was a Quake Spasm, but for DOS.
Well, I
Oh.
think that's kind of what QDOS is. Is it like QDOS is is a source port of both, Quake and Quake World to DOS that adds some more advanced features, which it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not on the same level as like Quake Spasm or anything, but it's pretty cool if you ask me.
Alright, yeah.
I used to think that's what FreeDOS would eventually become. I don't know if you guys heard of it.
I know
Oh
about
yeah,
FreeDOS, yeah.
yeah, I heard about that too. I think I used it before.
I used to
Yeah, I
use it
think
exclusively on one of my hard drives when I used to have like a shit ton of them, and it's pretty interesting because it does perform the basic DOS functions, and there's some games you could play, but without sound, unfortunately.
well, I mean, you just have to install like your sound drivers. Like if you're running like on like native DOS hardware, then you can just like install the drivers. I don't know so much about like installing it like as like a dual boot scenario on like a modern PC. 'Cause I don't really know how doable that is. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
FreeDOS. No, never mind. I don't think I got FreeDOS dual booted. But yeah, isn't that one of the quirks about working with DOS is that you have to like manually configure like the like each game because all the DOS games were made specifically for like one architecture, right? Or like whatever
well,
was
I mean, they were
available.
all just made. Well, I mean, they were all made for like the IBM compatibles. So anything that ran DOS. So I mean, of course, like you do need to like configure like your controls and like set the sound card and like your MIDI device like in like the game's like setup executable, but that's about it really. Everything else like should be all good like in your like DOSBox comp file.
Also pointing out back then, we had sound cards that didn't have plug and play, so you had to manually set interrupts and all that stuff that doesn't conflict with other hardware.
Oh yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
was that too.
DOSBox does emulate that, but like it gives you like it already gives you like a specific IRQs and like DMA numbers like out of the box, so you can just and
Yeah,
and
that's
a,
what
a
made
lot of a lot of setup executables like for Doom or Blood or any of the build engine games are like usually like those like the default like IRQ and DMA stuff it usually works just fine. It's able to auto detect it, thankfully. So it's not too much of a hassle getting that set up. The only thing is like, getting your controls set up because I think, a lot of people that are new to this stuff will forget that, this was like a lot of games, pre like 1998, like weren't using WASD
More like
because
arrow
like it was just like arrow keys and then like some weird pair of keys for your strafe buttons instead of them being left and right or whatever. And yeah, that's something I always emphasize when we're doing an event is to like make sure you set up your controls before we begin.
Yeah. Yeah. The strafe keys I used to use on Doom at least was definitely the common period keys.
Yeah.
There was also the alt keys that
Yeah,
turned stuff in right numbers.
the strafe modifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had me looking at my keyboard right now, and yeah, I do remember playing
Yeah,
some
same.
games. It's like, what the hell? It's
Yeah.
like there was no. I don't think any games use number pad unless you specifically mapped for it. I think.
Carmageddon uses number pad by default
Oh,
to
okay.
for your directional controls.
Oh, I
You
forgot. Also,
could
some
use
many
numpad
RPG
for
games.
other games if you had like numlock or something on. Perhaps. I've seen one person play through episode 4 of Blood using number pads some weird controls. I need to find it
Yeah.
and send it
The
over to DOSBox Defense Club general chat. The way he plays it really is interesting. It was keyboard only, was like a certain
Who was
function.
this?
Let me go find it. He played it at like 1600 by 1200, I think.
I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could set that high in blood. Or was this on or was this on a source port?
I don't know. That was like DOSBox. It was like
Okay.
it came out on May 7th, 2015. Though it was by someone
The-
named it was Seeker, like
I don't know.
Ceekur.
Hmm. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Keyboard controls are weird sometimes.
Oh, I mean, talk about like weird ass custom like keyboard combination shit, like mappings. Don't play Mech Warrior on a fucking keyboard at all. That shit is,
Yeah,
it's a fucking
definitely.
headache, dude.
Also,
But
yeah,
that's a modern game though.
don't play Star Wars X-Wing with a mouse. It is pain. Buy a joystick.
Yeah,
You
that's
you
probably why we couldn't do an event for those two games.
X-Wing doesn't have multiplayer. X-Wing and TIE Fighter for Windows 95 has multiplayer though.
However, MechWarrior 2 does under NetMech.
NetMech.
Yeah. They have a multiplayer community, I think, somewhere.
Probably, maybe, I don't know.
I couldn't get into it because of the controls.
But yeah, anyway.
So, well, like configuring DOS and stuff, working out the kinks, because everybody has to go through the learning curve when you're gonna get into DOS gaming. Like no matter
Yeah,
what, even if you have
I try.
somebody holding your
Yeah,
hand through the whole thing.
like the thing,
Yeah.
like that's the thing about like the little packages that I'll make for people to put in to like extract their directories and stuff. Is like I will try to make it so that they have to do as little work as possible. So like the only thing they have to do is like, set up their controls and like, connect to the IP and then just, use the multiplayer client to or use the multiplayer launcher or whatever to hop in the lobby and whatever. And th- and yeah, that's sort of my strategy with it.
Let's see, first we got the Who Are You thing, then to get the gaming, exposure.
Don't worry about that right now,
Yeah.
Brian.
Oh, alright.
No, because I thought you guys were gonna keep talking about the configurations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about any games that you need to play at least once on DOS, because I'm gonna drop one right now, and if you've never played Eye of the Beholder, that's a staple DOS game. Everybody has to
I
play it
do
at
I
least
do
once.
have Eye of the Beholder. I never played it though,
At
because
least
it
play
just
the
didn't
first
seem like.
dungeon. Yeah, at least play the first dungeon. I don't care if you get
Like
past it. And
what genre is that? Is that just like a
it's
point and click
Role-playing.
RPG?
it's a dungeon
RPG,
crawler.
yeah.
Ah,
Not much of, well, yeah, it kind of is an RPG, but it's more of a dungeon crawler.
I guess I'll have to try it then.
But
But
if you can't get over the old graphics and stuff, or the dated controls,
then you're probably too young,
no.
or like
Just play Legend of fuck, what's that game called? Legend of something. It's on Steam.
Legend of Zelda.
No, it's Eye of the Beholder. Shit. You guys go ahead and
Legend of Dark Moon?
no.
Oh, I thought you meant Eye of the Beholder 2 for a sec.
Anyway,
Legend of Grimrock. That's the one. If you can't handle the
Oh.
old DOS stuff, just play Legend of Grimrock. It's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, that's
Okay,
my
so-
game.
so top three games. It's hard for me to pick favorites, and I feel like with top threes, like I don't know. Like I feel like I'm just gonna pick the really obvious ones. So like okay. I guess the way I'm gonna put it is like here's three like I like semi deep cuts like DOS games to play. Which I think, let's see. What's I need to check my library. Freaking GOG is acting up right now for some reason. But let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's assume there's somebody listening to this that doesn't know what GOG is. It's basically the best source of DRM-free games.
Yeah, it's the best if you want to buy old games, buy them on GOG. Unless they're like Doom 3 or Quake 4, then you buy those on Steam. Because
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Doom
Yeah, because
3
they
has
don't
working
they don't
multiplayer.
yeah, they don't have OG Duke 3 or Doom 3 on GOG.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Speaking of Duke, nobody sells Duke the original anymore. Sad
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Well, that Zoom platform place has it.
Well,
But
yeah.
anyway, let's see here. Let's see. So assuming, alright. Let's see. What are some good ones? You know what? Let me just name some in general. I guess. So besides fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna spend way too long on this, and just say whatever. So you know what? Okay, so number three would be like all the build engine games. Number two would be like all like the original three Quake games, and then number one would be like, you know, all the like id Tech 1 Doom games, like Doom 1, 2, and Final Doom.
Well, what does that mean though? Like, let's assume we have people that have no idea what EdTech is.
Yeah,
Build engine.
well, the original Doom engine. So yeah,
What
that
games?
being Doom 1, 2, and Final Doom.
Oh, yeah, Christ.
So yeah.
What's your
Well,
favorite build engine? At least one game.
Okay, my favorite build engine game. That is
Duke
always
Nukem.
hard because I don't know. I really like them all a lot. But I think Blood is probably my favorite because it's just like it's probably has the most refined movement and like weapons out of the bunch, really. Then followed by like Duke 3D, then Shadow Warrior, and then like I guess throw Nom in there.
Nam was a build engine game.
Yeah, Nom actually originated as a total conversion for Duke 3D, and then
Platoon.
Yeah, and then they ended up making
Its own
a
game.
they ended up making a standalone game, which still had like you can tell there's a lot of Duke 3D's freaking DNA in it.
Yeah, and reuse textures from other building games I heard about.
Yeah, yeah, and sounds. But yeah, then like, Quake 1, 2, and 3, I guess. I don't know. That's
For
that's that's the best way I can summarize my top three games is the Doom games, the Quake games, and the Build Engine games.
Now, me on the other hand was a bit difficult, but now my third would probably be let's see. Yeah, like I said, it was pretty difficult, so it may take a little bit of thinking. I know the first one's obviously the life changer, the Doom Engine games.
I,
Second's
al- I
definitely a build engine game. Well, not build really build engine. Maybe the third was probably a build engine game. Well, second's gotta be the Quake game.
see
I
the,
might include a
this
fourth
is
as
why
well.
just didn't like this question because I feel like I'm just gonna say like the low hanging fruit because it's like of course I'm gonna say Doom, Quake, and the Build Engine, because they're
Maybe
fucking good.
maybe if we would have included like top five, maybe it'll be better. Because
Yeah,
obviously I'm
but
gonna pick the obvious ones.
yeah,
Like
but
uh, my favorite Doom engine game, which is number one, of course. Um, my favorite Doom engine game would definitely be Doom 2 because how much WAD you can end up playing. Just it feels like you buy this game, you have access to a shit ton of WADs. You might as well
yeah,
be playing for a very long time.
Doom 2 like these days is like most popular because of mods. And I think, like, like say what you will about the level design, I think the I think that's the thing that a lot of people will judge Doom 2 on the most is its level design, which I mean understandable. It's definitely like Doom 1 definitely has better levels if you ask me. But like I think, the gameplay of Doom 2 with, the addition of the super shotgun and its expanded arsenal of monsters, it just makes for it is like it's like the perfect I don't know, it really is like the perfect game in that kind of way.
Uh, oh,
yeah.
you're muted for a sec.
Yeah, I know it's because there was a conversation going on in the background. My bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could hear something.
Um, so like back to the other questions. Like there's a bunch of games you can like just like shout out for DOS,
I
right?
didn't
But
finish
if
my top three yet, actually.
oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
Alright. So, obviously, my first is Doom 2. Second is Quake related. My favorite Quake game, which is on number 2, is Quake 1 because of its single player. Because the single player is more. I like the single player more in Quake 1 compared to Quake 2. I mean, Quake 2 came and went, but Quake 2 is good for multiplayer at least.
Quake Two's single player is like okay.
Yeah,
I will say though, I really like the single player and the mission packs. The mission packs are I really like the mission pack levels because they feel a lot more varied than the ones in the base game.
I also believe playing on Nightmare difficulty made the experience more fun to me as well. I
For
like Nightmare.
Quake 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now
Quake 1 on
for
Nightmare is something.
yeah. Now for three, which is a build engine related game. Obviously I would have put Shadow Warrior, but my heart goes to Blood actually, because I had more fond memories of Blood, especially in the multiplayer. I've already beaten Blood like a few times already, but then again, the multiplayer was where it was at for me,
Yeah, the
especially in the
multiplayer
beatdown day.
is the multiplayer for Blood. Like I don't know why it wasn't very popular in the 90s. Because apparently the multiplayer scene for Blood was just was a lot smaller compared to like, Duke
It was pretty,
3D.
it was pretty obscure until all of a sudden in the 2010s it got a resurgence as a cult following.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah, Bruno Bug.
Hmm. Oh, have we do you know about our Lord and Savior Chernobog, Cannibal?
Yes.
No, I'm not aware.
No, you're not aware? Well,
No.
here, I'll send you a pamphlet after the after the episode is over.
Yeah, let's send him the Bible of Bruno Bug.
Yeah,
The
the
Bible.
good book.
Yes, the very good one.
Anyway, um,
Well,
but yeah, I think
actually, will that be enlightening or like, you know, is
it
it
it will it will it will open your third eye, my boy.
yeah,
Oh boy, if you're hearing
my
this in the
third
background,
eyes.
I do apologize.
Oh, is that coming from your mic? I thought it was coming from Cannibals.
Sorry
Maybe
about the
both.
dogs.
I have
Oh,
dogs here.
That's
oh,
a
okay.
feature in my house, not my house, but my
That's
parents'
not
house.
a yeah. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Anyway,
So, you know, my third eye is always open when I sit on the porcelain throne.
the porcelain throne. Hmm.
Yeah. You know, so oh yeah, so earlier I wanted to ask you guys, you know, what's one DOS game that everybody should play at least once?
I feel like that. I feel like that's okay. I feel like that's very similar to like the what are your top three games, but okay. Like assuming we're talking to an audience of DOS players, then I would say probably probably hmm. You know what? Star Wars X-Wing. That's what I would recommend to people because I mean, what it has a learning curve, but like if you're a Star Wars fan and you like DOS games, X-Wing or TIE Fighter for that matter are fantastic like space sim games. I love them.
For me, I would advise those FPS fans who are like DOS games to try out Chasm the Rift. Good for single player, but I'm not sure about the multiplayer. But then
Yeah, the
again, it needs more
multiplayer.
love. It really needs to be on GOG.
Yeah, I should really put it
I
on
wish it was
GOG.
on GOG. And recently, there was a user add-on that's been made, like 4-level add-on, just recently. It was called the Cursed Lands or something. Yeah.
The
If
Cursed
you're into
Lands.
classic FPSs, try out Chasm.
Chasm. Have you, you know that, you know, earlier I was going on my little thing about, you know, Eye of the Beholder, and I realized there's another game that people should play over Eye of the Beholder at least once, and that's a spin-off called Infinite Adventures or Dungeon Hack, I think. Yeah, it's Dungeon Hack. That way you don't have to fucking go through all the bullshit of creating, you know, like a perfect character. And Dungeon Hack is essentially a sandbox of the game where you create your character. You can max out the stats or like balance it out. And basically you generate a dungeon and just go through it. And but I do recommend you get a piece of grid paper. And this is one of those games where you gotta map out everything. It's like if you're familiar with King's Field for PlayStation, you cannot forget a fucking grid paper and mapping out everywhere you go. It's just one of those fucking
Oh
games.
boy. Oh
But
god, that's
at
giving me
least,
fucking Wolfenstein 3D flashbacks. Fucking episode 6. Oh my god. I like Wolfenstein 3D and I have a lot of respect for it because it is one of the most important games ever made. But I will admit it does not age as well as like Doom or like or even yeah, it just doesn't age as well as Doom.
what about Wolf 3D? Is it worth checking that game out at all if you've never played it?
Oh, I think yeah, I think it's worth playing even if you don't really like it and if you get like bored of it or something. I think it's still worth playing as just like a as like for like historic purposes
Yeah.
and
So
and
that
I
way,
guess sort of like learning purposes as well because it's
yeah,
just because like I don't know, I think it was I mean that was like the first like game that you could really call a first person shooter.
basically,
I mean, there was Catacomb 3D before that, but
I was gonna say a funny story about Wolfenstein actually.
but
I used to shit a lot about Wolfenstein 3D. I thought it was a terrible game until I played it for historical purposes. Then I just liked it. My dad would give me this that you wouldn't there wouldn't be like Doom or Half-Life or any other game if it wasn't for Wolfenstein.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. The common title of the granddaddy of all FPS. It's really true because
yeah,
like
definitely.
because it really like emphasis on the grand because it's like you know like every it's all just a flat maze and I mean, and like there's no like it's not it's that's still 2D. I mean, Doom was like 2.5D, but like Wolfenstein was still like 2D because it was using like it was what was it raycasting I think it was called that
Yeah, it
like
was
render
raycast.
tech yeah that Carmack used for that.
Raycasting.
But
Doom
any
ended up using BSP, binary space partition, as well.
yeah I think that was Doom right?
Yeah, that was Doom.
Yeah. And
Isn't it
then that sort of evolved later down the road because like the BSP format like is still around these days like it carried on to like it carried on to like Quake and then into like Half-Life which then carried into like the Source engine like
And definitely Unreal to a certain extent.
I didn't know Unreal used the BSP format.
Yeah, it's part of the .unr format.
Okay.
Geometry, BSP, and lighting.
Okay. All right.
you
Well,
know
anyway.
isn't that kind of it's always one thing where it's on the subject of id games where apart from making the granddaddy FPS, they also kickstarted the modding scene, and then
Oh yeah.
there's games that like came out because of their engines and all
Oh
this
yeah,
stuff, dude.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, modding existed prior to that, but it was very small and mostly existed as like, means to like crack a game. Like, if you wanted to have like Druid 2 on your Commodore 64, you'd be getting like a modded version of the game that doesn't like I don't know check for like a key or something. I'm not entirely sure how it worked, but like I don't know. Yeah, modding prior to that was like was like a microcosm.
It was just basically hacks back then, right? It wasn't like
Yeah, it
actually
was just hacking.
because
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was it wasn't it wasn't like intentional for the developer to let their
yeah. And I
fans
mean,
mod their
a lot
games.
of like the earliest Doom wads were really more of just hackery because, at that point you didn't have any like map like level editors or like wad compilers or anything. Like it was just like a lot of like It was just a lot of like like big galaxy brain fucking hackery.
And that's what let's quote it as PC gaming, or just PC in general back then. It was just enthusiast hackers just fucking around.
Yeah,
That's all it was
yeah,
back then.
yeah. PC gaming was always like the home of the enthusiasts. Because I mean, consoles were for the fans.
Or the mainstream consumers.
PC was like for like the like for like the enthusiasts that wanted more.
Oh yeah.
Not that they
Like
wanted more. It's just it was like fucking curious people. They wanted to figure out how this shit works. So they would like,
yeah,
once they did
Oh
figure it
yeah.
out, they would just like try to find other stuff to break open and then just make it run their way, or
oh yeah,
manipulate it, dude. It's like, and
yeah.
then
Like Doom is perhaps the most picked apart game like to ever be made because it's been ported from to everything from like from the Super Nintendo to fucking pregnancy tests.
pregnancy
Yeah.
test. Cause didn't
I'm not kidding, by the way. That's a real thing for
what
anybody
the hell?
watching.
Yeah. It
Because
is.
one thing about having it having released the source code for many of these games, some people managed to figure out how to properly port Dooms and I think Quake onto like
Yeah,
consoles that actually received the commercial port of those games. And then I
yeah.
think
Like
they have the SNES version running at I think better speed or full speed. I can't remember.
I remember that I've seen someone report the Doom to the 32X because like or was it no. Actually, I think it was the 3DO because the 3DO was a dog shit port, but it had some banger fucking music. Like it
Yeah,
had like
definitely.
yeah, it had like CD audio unlike pretty much any other Doom game except for the PlayStation version.
I think
But
the
yeah, that
PlayStation
shit was a
version.
banger, bro. I love the 3DO soundtrack.
I
Like it like
definitely liked the PS1 title music for
oh
Doom.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't much of a fan of ambient music, so that was like the only track I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing about we gotta tread carefully when we talk about PlayStation music, because it also has a built-in synthesizer.
Uh-huh.
So you know, uh, so was it synthesized on PlayStation, or did they use XA or CD Redbook audio?
I have no idea. I don't know much about the PlayStation version. I
Okay.
think it I think it is Redbook audio because like based on the fact that a lot of the level geometry is simplified compared to the PC version, and if it didn't have any CD audio, it would have absolutely had room and 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 uh and horsepower to run the full PC versions of the levels at like the original 35 FPS. But I think also because they changed it to be use colored lighting, they had to simplify it, but also because they probably like most of the disc was probably filled with like Redbook audio or something. I mean that's just my guess. That's just an educated guess.
Yeah, that's pretty much the territory I'd tread on, just guessing, because if they run out of space, they'll definitely use them synthesize the built-in synthesizer. I think that's what they did for Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
Um,
and like the earlier PlayStation games, I assume. I don't know. I'm not very knowledgeable on the PlayStation.
Me neither. I just yeah, because like many games when they started using CD, I think everybody just wanted to use a CD audio quality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the first thing people were using it for. That and also That and also full motion video.
Oh Jesus. Sega CD
But
comes to
that,
mind.
yeah, and fucking Night Trap. Man, you know what? I would want to make a Night Trap movie that's just as cheesy as the fucking FMV cutscenes. Or maybe just edit a whole movie out of the cutscenes. I mean, that's probably been done before, but like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just imagine making a YouTube poop of Night Trap.
it probably exists. There's
Yeah,
probably multiple that exist because Night Trap is such a meme.
yeah.
If it exists, there's a meme.
Or more like the quality of the Spinge Binge YouTube poops.
The the SpongeBob, the SpongeBob. Oh hell no, Spinch Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Alright,
one
so
it's called Spinge Binge Me Millionth Dollar.
okay, we're getting off topic now.
yeah.
Alright.
So I mean, well, is there any shout outs you want to give out to?
Um, I think there are a few actually that I can do shout outs for. First of all, I'd like to shout out the retro machines and gaming enthusiasts community because they do like they're like more on like the hardcore side of things because like they do stuff on like real hardware like they have a bit more focus on like actual retro hardware, which is pretty cool. Let's see, who else should I shout out? Um, let's see. You know what?
Oh, and if
Sure,
you
you know
get
what? Shout out to the Sin Discord because you know what? Sin is a good game. I mean, it's not a DOS game, but still, Sin is a fun game. I enjoy it, and like it deserves a bigger community. Um, let's see what else.
also don't forget to give me those links for
Yeah,
some of those shout outs.
yeah. Um, let's see.
Oh, let's give you one sec, but
Oh yeah, shout out to my YouTube channel and Twitch channel called The Open Rift.
yeah.
Follow and give subscribe.
And give subscribe.
Give me subscriber. Anyway, yeah, I think that's all my shout outs.
You sure you don't want to do the origins of the current nickname?
Are we
Yeah,
are we gonna
we
do
can get
that?
into that too right now. We're in the free talk segment, so you guys
Okay.
wanna get into like how did you guys come up with your nicknames?
Uh I don't know. I was just like thinking of like I don't know what's a cool sounding name and I was like I want something with the word rift in it because rift sounds like a cool word. And I was like open rift. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Unfortunately, that's where the joke we came up with was
Open
we
rift.
changed.
More like closed rift.
Yeah, that.
Because like I don't know. These are the people I hang out with, ladies and gentlemen. Um, Brian, tell us the origin of yours.
Alright. So, definitely not my first nickname, but I used to be under various nicknames before I stuck to this one. First, it was the rather cringy Xbox Lifestyle nickname, which would be
X underscore
it was X Brian.
Baratus fuck your mom.
What the
X.
fuck?
Well, like X Brian 2000X, but then again, that was me being like a 12-year-old or
Cringe
11-year-old.
nay nay baby.
And then I renamed myself to James KX2. Then I went under a name identity crisis for a bit. Then thought about my favorite class that I play on Hexen. I have not beaten that, by the way. I need to. Would be the fighter. So I noticed that there were names given to those classes, you got Daedalon, which is the mage. Parias would be the cleric. And the fighter would be known as Baratus. And also, um, I was a fan of like numeral, like having
Just
Roman numerals put next to names. So I was thinking, Baratus, I the second. So
I the
I used to
second.
be, I used to be like Baratus KX2 like for a short period of time. Then I thought about the Roman numerals, I think. So I went Baratus the second. So I used that and stuck with it for a while. Then I just tweaked it a little bit later on to have the Baratus the second.
Wait a minute. Have I been
So
pronouncing your name wrong the whole time?
Yeah, you've been saying
yeah,
Baratusel.
Baratusel.
It's
The fuck is a
pronounced
Baratusel, dude?
Yeah, I've been
I mean,
thinking like.
If it can't be as worse as my former friend calling me Brutus.
Barutas.
Brutus. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the correct way I would pronounce it is Baratus or
Yeah.
Baratus as well.
So like you gotta give it a Latin pronunciation with that
Yeah,
yeah.
Italian
Much.
touch. Baratus.
Yes.
Some people call it Baratus or
Baratus.
Bardotus or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to pronounce it Baratus.
Baratus.
Then I just started calling him Brian.
Yeah, under my first name. But yeah, that is my first name as well. Yeah.
That is.
Now
That's
the James
just crazy.
KX2 part came from my middle name though, which would just be Brian James or something.
Something.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Man, I don't know. I don't remember what my fucking middle name is.
Brian.
Anyway.
I mean, Beatrice usually has his first name as Alex or something. He has that name on descent as
Or
well.
something. Yeah,
Or something.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Or something. But, yeah.
But yeah, that's the origin of my name, and I've stuck to that one. I originally had thoughts of changing my name once again, but then again, I'm starting to get rather more known under that name, so I stuck with it.
Yeah, I
I
can
haven't,
understand.
I haven't
that.
changed my username since, like, freshman year of high school, I think. I don't know.
But yeah, back then I was more of a name identity crisis.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, hold on. Do I hear Critical playing in the background? Like I hear somebody watching Moist Critical.
Does it make your ears moist?
No.
Sure does.
Whatever that means.
If it does,
But
it's because
okay.
your headphones are making your ears slant.
I actually do need to replace the ear cups on my headphones. I've worn these out. But anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, any anything you guys want to get out there?
Let's see. Oh
Not
yeah,
really.
what about the applying DOSBox into real hardware thingy?
You
Oh,
mean like
we never-
connecting
Yeah, like
you mean connect
because I
mean, it
I didn't get a
already
chance to
DOSBox
segue
is
into
all
that.
hardware.
Yeah, because like after messing around with DOSBox, have you guys had a chance to use real DOS hardware and like use
I
everything
did.
to
I
learn?
mean,
I never personally owned any, but my friend who I've known since like preschool or whatever, he collects a lot of retro hardware. Like
Yeah.
he does a lot of buying and selling stuff, and like I've been over to his house and I've played on some of his stuff.
yeah. Me, I was getting into vintage computing as an enthusiast thanks to my childhood and inspiration from LGR.
Oh,
Like,
that's a great
I
channel to
saw him
watch.
capturing Quake footage on his 3D FX and stuff. So that inspired me to get into it, and I was like, man, I need to get an old computer.
You know what? I think I found what game like earlier when we were talking about like what our first games were. Uh, Someone in the chat mentioned this game called Cro-Mag Rally. Yeah, I remember this game. I definitely remember this, the way it looks. Yeah, that's definitely it.
Oh, nice. I always thought it was BC Racer. Yeah, now, as for applying the skills I've learned from DOSBox onto the older hardware, yeah, that definitely worked. Like, navigating on DOS is one of them.
Well, yeah, just like the fundamentals are all still in DOSBox,
Yeah,
which helps a lot.
yeah, learning DOSBox seems to work well when using DOS on the older hardware. As for Windows and everything, I used virtual machines at the time, so I've learned through those too.
I've used
VMware, virtual
yeah
PCs,
I've
Avid
used
Box, etc.
PCEM in the past to just like just like test stuff in like a virtual hardware environment.
Yeah,
I never really got into much retro hardware because I just never had I never had the place for it, and I never really felt the need to like spend money on that when like I could emulate a lot of the experience through like DOSBox or any other emulator.
I will say this: getting into it is probably difficult nowadays. It used to be just fine back then, though. That I'm saying because it's the market gone bad for years now. You got
Yeah,
like 46
scalpers.
for eBay on eBay for like fucking $400 and some shit. It's
Yeah,
frustrating.
yeah, it's you really gotta. I don't
That's
know.
what I said. That's when I started saying that emulation was actually a godsend.
Yeah, it yeah, it's I think the I mean what my friend said is that like the best thing you can do is like look locally at like at like your local what's it
Goodwill.
at like a Goodwill or like an electronics recycling center
Yeah, I
because like
tried the flea markets and Goodwill with as much as I could. I couldn't find shit. I could try like recycling centers and all, but I had trouble finding one. I think I almost like nearly found one, but when I tried to call the number, they were unreachable. Possibly closed due to COVID or something, but who knows?
it's a recycling center. I don't know if they can close. And I mean, even if they did, I would have thought they'd have opened up at this stage. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
The thing about a lot of hobbies that require physical hardware to actually enjoy, or not actually enjoy, but like just enjoy in general. That's the way it's just going right now. There's YouTubers making channels or
Oh yeah,
opening up about
absolutely.
subjects about everything. It just opens up the flood for a bunch of people that don't even care. They're like, oh look, here's another opportunity to like get suckers to like pay me more than double, possibly double the retail price. At the time. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the demand is more important.
exploitation of the audience.
you
Like
guys
for
think
example, Phil's
oh my
Computer
bad.
Lab would mention something about get a cheap Windows XP machine guide, for example. As soon as they find out the price being low, that's gonna take like the scalpers will just take advantage and double, like, spike the prices up and shit like that.
Yeah,
It's hyping it
because
up
they
even
realize
more.
there's a demand for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the hyping it up might have been the cause for one of them.
Or just the level of influence the person demonstrating the material.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna ask. You guys think there's a chance, with FPGA gaming coming along the way it's going right now? I think there's a new DE10 Nano coming out, and it's gonna be more powerful.
FPGA gaming.
You know,
I seen a 486 emulator on that.
yeah, that's what I
Problem
was
with
gonna
it
get to.
right now is like it's expensive to get. Maybe if we get a time where the prices go down, then maybe I'll look into it. Like,
Um,
but it does have potential to not really replace, but be a potential alternative towards getting the original hardware. If
yep,
done enough, that is, for the emulators.
yeah, because
But yeah,
right now it's as cheap as it's gonna get.
yeah,
Most people have been importing, the add-on parts like the SD RAM and stuff from Europe. So it's the price goes up, and the individual sellers importing and then reselling here, it adds on to that price. So right now, like around, you're looking to spend $400 on a D10 Nano. And then, like I was saying, there's a new one coming out that's supposed to be more powerful. What do you guys think are the prospects of getting a DOS computer going on one of those?
I mean, if it's made that's not made in the 90s, and it's possibly might be worth it, because compare buying $400 for FPGA and compare it to buying a 486 that's scalped for like $400. When you get the 486 that's like $400 scalped,
Yeah,
expect it to have blown capacitors and dead power supplies in like a few hours to a few days, or weeks, or if rare months, depending on its condition. Whereas if you get an FPGA, which is made nowadays, you wouldn't expect that to happen.
yeah.
Unless
So you're getting
you're
more bang for your buck with FPGA, I
basically,
guess. Yeah.
and the fact that it's multi-purpose as well. You can even emulate other things too with it. So yeah, that's considered a bang for your buck compared to getting a 46 by itself for that price. That's what I believe.
No, that's reasonable. Yeah, because that's the thing. That's a lot of people who just want to enjoy the hobby. We gotta go that route where it's not that you have to get the hardware anymore. You just gotta get the
At least an accurate environment that
yeah,
works.
you gotta get alternate hardware to get the software you want running, right?
Yeah.
In general
You
terms.
just want to run the game.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, that's kind of why I've just stuck to emulation, because yeah, I don't know, I just never found much appeal in like getting real hardware unless it was like like if it was a console, I'd feel a bit differently because you have that you have like the physical experience of a console, I think, plays more into the experience, like the overall experience playing those games. Where on PC, I don't think it's changed very much because you still have a keyboard and you still have a mouse. So like that core aspect is still there, you know?
yeah,
Or
that's
at least for me it is.
uh,
So
for people just looking to play the game, yeah, emulation's perfectly fine. And then if you want
yeah.
to get a little bit more dedicated than that, you could get a
Yeah.
little Raspberry Pi, and they're like, if you get a 3B
Well, if
Plus,
you
they're
get a
pretty
little
cheap.
Raspberry Pi, you're still emulating. It's just,
Yeah, yeah,
you're pretty much making your own little device, your own little mini device to play games in an emulator.
yeah.
Speaking of Raspberry Pi, I liked how someone could emulate dial-up on Raspberry Pi, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, virtual
There's
modem is what it's called.
yeah.
Rip. I like that, actually.
There's a lot of things you could do with a Raspberry Pi besides, having a dedicated emulator setup. Somebody made
Right.
a.
I mean, yeah, Raspberry Pis are great. They're like what's the best way I can describe it? It's like the Swiss Army knife of like of computer technology,
Yeah,
if you ask
definitely.
me, because it's so versatile and it can put it in anything.
Yeah, because I have a Quake server running up right now. I've had it on since I set it up, It's been running the whole time, and it has like a little fan, so I don't have to
Nice.
worry about it. And the specific model I got, the most wattage I'll be getting at the end of the year is like if I had an alarm clock running all year, like $20. Just keep it going.
Nice.
Yeah. So like
Most of the time I've run my servers on a Pentium 4.
yeah, right. And then now there's just like these little $50 machines you could get and just do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like how about those $50 machines on eBay?
Oh, the Raspberry Pi.
Oh, the Raspberry Pi. I've
Yeah.
seen $50 crap computers on eBay for some reason.
Well, I mean, of course they're gonna be on eBay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have some value, but I think some people overestimate the value of a Intel Atom laptop from like 2011.
Oh yeah, I have a netbook that has that processor. I tried running servers on that, but then lag.
Just don't ever buy an Intel Atom, like ever. It's not even good for what it's designed for
Yeah.
anymore at least.
Oh,
Because
for a second I thought you were talking about the Intel Xeon. I don't know why I
oh
had.
no.
Yeah, I know.
No,
That's something
Xeon's
else.
like
That's something
that's
else.
like that's like enterprise hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like I was thinking of the
Some
specs as
people
a
use those
Xeon.
for gaming too.
They have.
Yeah, for people that are like, I mean, you're never gonna get. I mean, that you might as well just get an i9 at that point, because it's like the difference you're gonna see between a Xeon and an i9 is like negligible. I'm sure of it.
I mean, they use those as budget machines actually. If you look up a Xeon processor on eBay, they're dirt cheap.
Well, I'm talking like a latest gen Xeon processor, not like a older gen.
Which are still good. I mean, if you're getting something a budget server going.
Oh
Or
yeah, but well yeah, a budget
channel.
server, because yeah, when it comes to servers, that's another story. I think yeah, for servers, I think you can cheap out a lot easier than you can with like a client a client machine. But yeah,
We can start a new episode at this point. And just go into
yeah, it's
server hardware.
I mean at this point we're just rambling. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. This is a free talk segment, so everyone just go off.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
whatever you guys want to bring up.
I mean, I don't have much else at this point.
Did we ever talk about any games we discovered personally through DOS?
Yeah, we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it earlier.
we already did that.
I'm not sure if I had my answer on that.
I think it was when you were thinking about it, and I don't, and maybe you want to get back to it right now.
Yeah, I think I had my answer here. Let me answer that right now. Now, any games I personally discovered, one of them is Warcraft. I discovered the RTS Warcraft games through DOS. Not DOSBox, but under DOS itself, like on my XP machine back in the day. And not only Warcraft was where I discovered it, Chasm Rift is also another one. I discovered that as well. What else? I discovered a ton of games at the time because I went to shareware sites as well. That's even where I discovered more build engine games too, like Shadow
Yeah,
Warrior and Blood.
yeah. Most of the games that I usually found through YouTube, because YouTube is like like pretty much the other thing that I spend my time doing aside from playing games and shit.
Oh, speaking of YouTube, I actually discovered Blood initially through YouTube. At the old days too. Yeah, like seeing the cutscenes for the first time, I was like, this game
Oh,
looks interesting. I need to try this shareware.
yeah, seeing the cutscenes. This is interesting. As you watch low poly Caleb fucking do
Yeah,
whatever the fuck he's doing,
yeah, just all the
pulling
names
out pulling
yes.
out Gabriel's low poly poorly rendered heart.
Oh,
I think it was
Jesus.
more like I just seen the intro.
Yeah,
Maybe it
yeah,
was.
that too. Like when I first saw that, like I didn't know what the fuck was going on exactly.
I
But
kind of thought he was just eating his heart, but turns out he was actually just drinking his blood out of his heart. It's more
hmm.
likely.
I'm trying to think of a random blood quote to say, but I've never really played that game past the first
Max
level.
10 Vier volts.
Straw.
When they spray that
Legs.
sample.
My legs.
Anyway, what did you say, Cannibal?
No, nothing. I'm just saying. Oh, I was thinking of random quotes by Caleb to say, but I never played that game past the first level.
Red.
Single white.
What?
Male.
Single white male.
What? What are you talking about?
Is that one sound clip that Mobro sent me where Caleb's saying, oh, single white male.
I have
What the
no
fuck?
idea what you're talking about, dude.
I think it was well, the thing is, Caleb said on quote, not sure if it was a scrapped quote or not, it was for Blood 2.
For,
Caleb originally said single white female. But I
uh,
guess Mobro,
in,
remember, edited out or found something that said male instead of female.
okay.
But yeah,
Did you guys play Transfusion?
I did.
No, I have
For
not.
anybody that doesn't know what Transfusion is, it's basically Blood multiplayer, but on the Quake engine. I think it uses Dark
Yeah,
Places.
it's a shame the
Wait.
development hasn't been much lately.
I have not heard of this until you brought this up. Actually, I'm gonna take a look at this.
It used to be called
What?
Q Blood back in its development, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
It has the and I think that's the only way I was able to like explore the first level of Blood without like
I
having
really
shit
like
shooting
how
at
they
me.
did. I really like how they recreated the weapon models. These are really accurate.
They somehow
Or
recreated the Caleb from Blood 1, but that didn't even go
the
through
cutscenes the cutscene version or the sprite version.
the right version.
Uh,
That
yeah,
did not go
these models
into
are really
so.
okay. I'll admit these are very impressive looking. I should download this sometime. This looks kind of cool.
Expect links in the description.
Very cool.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I found an image of the model. We'll put it in here.
Put it in where?
And voice text.
Uh, very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I used to think because I never again like I never really played Blood. I used to
Well, you
think
should, it's
Transfusion
good.
was like fuck, I don't know what I used to think it was, but like I used to think that's what Blood was when people talking about Blood. I'm like, yeah, but I never had anybody to play it with. I swear, like I've never played Blood before, and then I'm like, I found Transfusion. I'm like, oh, I thought that's what they were referring to every time somebody talking about
No.
Blood. But it's a build engine.
Yeah,
game
we're
originally.
probably the strongest of the build engine trinity.
And then
I
I
mean,
would have those confused answers like, what do you mean? Like that's you can play it by yourself. I'm like, that's boring. It's a multiplayer game. And then that's when I found out it was a fucking Doom style game. I'm like, oh shit, this is cool, but I never finished it.
Well, you should.
Same thing with
I mean, I finished it a few times, honestly.
Yeah, Yeah, I need to play through Death Wish. I still haven't gotten around to it yet.
Death Wish.
Same.
Yeah, it's a mod for Blood. It's like a new it's like a new episode. It's it's pretty good from what I've heard.
I was gonna say wait, I did buy it, but no, that's Hexen, because that's another game I gotta play. That's people say I should play at least once.
I
Yeah,
remember when G-Man
it's
Live called it the Dark Souls of the '90s FPS genre.
Oh Jesus,
the
was
Dark
people gotta
Souls
stop
of the
saying that?
'90s.
People gotta
Yeah,
stop saying that.
you know what? Yeah, people gotta stop saying that. People should just be saying like the Plutonia experiment of the blank, you know? Because I
No,
feel like that's that's the original like, in my mind that's the original like like hardcore retro game, or well okay not original hardcore retro game but the original like hard mode like FPS
because
freaking
if we're gonna
expansion.
if we really
Like,
are gonna be saying that, there's two games that people should just be fucking comparing it to. First of all, so like there's some a game on Sega Genesis called Chakan the Forever Man. That one's fucking like hard. There's a Samurai Spirit on Turbo Graphics, dude. That one plays slightly as slow paced as
Actually, you know what, I
Doom.
retract my statement. I think what I meant, like I think that what I was saying applies more to like modding, like 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 what's a good example, like like Sigil for Doom 1 is like the Plutonia of Doom 1, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, the John Carmack's episode, right?
John Romero's
John
episode.
Romero's. I'm sorry, everybody. John Romero made
Carmack is
Sigil.
the tech guy. Romero is the design guy.
Did you
Also,
get?
Sandy Peterson.
Did you guys watch the
Sandy is just
Sandy
cool.
Peterson? Yeah. Did you guys
Yeah.
watch his video? It's posted in this Discord on general.
Which video? Because he has
It's
like a
why,
bunch of different
Why
videos.
is Quake like that? And then he talks about
I need
I
to
have-
watch that.
I need to watch
It's-
more of his.
it's
his-
fucking
his,
hilarious.
like Doom and Quake stuff. I mostly go to his channel because I really like his like movie reviews. Because I have a very similar taste in movies.
Are you John Romero? I mean,
What?
are you
Well,
related to him then? I don't know. I'm
No.
just going off now.
well, I don't know. I remember hearing like I think one of our friends was saying like like Peterson's taste in horror was a lot more hardcore than Romero's taste in horror, or something like that. If I recall correctly.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Um, talking about the Johns, in that video, why is Quake like that? He talks about John Romero locking himself inside a room, and then basically it just
Oh yeah, the
evolves
axe
into yeah, and
on
then
the door.
and then
Yeah.
I don't know if
that,
somebody said it in
yeah,
the
that-
comments of that video, and somebody said, "Oh, did John peek through the hole and say, 'Here's Johnny'?"
yeah. Yeah, I think it was like John Romero had like accidentally locked himself in his office or something. There's the myth that like he locked himself in there and he was like death matching with somebody. I think he was like playing with like Sean Green or something.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
Man, I
It's
wish there was. I kind of wish there was like a reenactment of that scene, or that door.
That would have been funny. But anyway,
Well, it's almost dinner time for me, so we could do some.
it's almost midnight.
We could do some shout outs, and then
Yeah,
let's.
all.
I mean, I did my shout outs earlier, but
Are there any
Yeah.
more you wanna do before we hand the baton over to Baratus II? Not Baratusi guy, it's Baratus
yeah,
II.
Brian, you can go ahead.
Alright. I will give a shout out to my YouTube and Twitch channel, and Razorback.
Yeah. Yeah, Razorback 95. Yeah, shout out to them
Yeah,
for
shout out to that.
providing us with a Quake World server for Quake's 25th anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's been around since like October 2020, I believe. But then again,
Yeah, I know, but he he gave us permission to use it for the anniversary event.
oh yeah, and definitely a shout out to Kuji, who runs Razorback. His videos are pretty great too. Definitely worth checking out his channel.
Indeed.
And of course, another shout out to our group, especially DOSBox Deathmatch Club.
Yeah. Come join, come play. We do events every week.
Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah, Fridays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central.
Yeah.
And 6 p.m. Pacific. Good stuff.
6 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
8 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Central,
Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
There you go.
And any more shout-outs, Brian?
I think that's the most I think about, I guess. Not sure what else I'll probably shout out to. But yeah, definitely a shout out to me, Riff's channels, and Razorback, Deathmatch Club, yeah.
And then so like my shoutouts we'll start off with my guests. THEBaratusII, OpenRift, and in the audience at the moment we have It's Dark, Steel Duke 91, System Overdrive, and Rassi. And then everybody for listening.
Also, shout out to Lord Revan, actually.
Lord Revan, yeah, he's not here, but he's another one of the guys that I play Quake with.
He and Rift actually inspired me to stream.
Yeah, Lord Revan's streams are pretty great, especially when he has a beer cam on, because he's a beer guy. I like drinking beer,
and I
but
like
I haven't...
how the voice chats get crazy every once in a while.
Yeah.
Me contagiously laughing and everything.
I do miss the nail appointments we used to have in Quake 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus Christ, dude, those were.
Wonder if we can bring that back at Quake events at Deathmatch Club.
Maybe we might do Quake 4 at some point. I don't know. I just never really. I mean, Quake 4's multiplayer is alright, but it's basically just Quake 3 with like crouch sliding.
Crouch sliding, yeah.
Yeah, it might be worth trying out for an event as an exception.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Alright, yeah, no problem, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright, and then that ends today's show, sadly.
Yeah, sadly.
Alright, guys, I'll catch you guys next time.
Yep,
and,
you too.
Alright, cool. Alright, later, man.
Later.
Later.
This is bittersweet. I don't want you guys to go. Stay, please.
Alright.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go get dinner.
I'm just kidding. Get out of here. Leave me.
Leave me.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah, let me close Discord so I can just leave. Alright, guys. See you next time.